Egyptians have always been known for groundbreaking crafts and the deliberate pursuit of civilization. Recently, it was gathered that Egypt is now digging a man-made river in the desert to allow them to recover 2.8 million acres of land. Their major aim is to turn the reclaimed land into an agricultural fortress at the cost of about $58 billion. This is similar to the great man-made river dug in Libya. Impressive, right? But what is even more impressive are the works of the ancient Egyptians. We know that they liked to prepare and preserve their dead for the afterlife, but did you know that they preserved more secrets that might be impossible for us to uncover right up until the end days? Yes, archaeologists keep digging out mysterious things in Egypt every day, and scientists cannot but be shocked every time. Stay tuned as we tell you what scientists just discovered in Egypt that shocked the whole world. Lost Golden City. One of Egypt's most important archaeological discoveries is the Lost Golden City. About 3,000 years ago, the ancient city of Aten was lost to the sands of Egypt. It dates back to the reign of Amenhotep III, a powerful Egyptian pharaoh that ruled between 1391 and 1353 BC. Subsequent pharaohs, especially Ai and Tutankhamun, continued to use the city. Several attempts have been made to search for the lost city, but all failed. However, in September 2020, a team of archaeologists excavated the west bank of Luxor, which is 500 kilometers south of the capital city, Cairo. What they saw will leave your jaws dropping. At first, they came in contact with formulations of mud bricks indicating a site of a large city. To their bewilderment, the site was in good condition. The walls are almost complete. The rooms are filled with tools that are used in everyday activities. About 7 months later, they uncovered several areas, including an administrative district, a residential area, and a bakery. Other items discovered there in nearly intact position include scarabs, amulets, jewelry, colored pottery, and other valuable decorative and ritual items. Who could have expected such a site to exist after centuries of supposed extinction? The discovery of the ancient city, as revealed by Betsy Bryan, professor of Egyptology at Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore, the US, would give scientists a glimpse into the life of the ancient Egyptians. 4,300-foot-long tunnel. As if that was not enough, another shocking discovery that has been tagged a geometric miracle is the 4,300-foot-long, 6.5-foot-tall underground tunnel at Taposiris Magna, a temple that has been dedicated to Osiris, the god of death. This tunnel is an exact replica of the Eupalinos tunnel in Greece, which carried water for more than 1,000 years. The underground tunnel sits roughly 43 feet below the temple. According to Kathleen Martinez, the University of Santo Domingo archaeologist that located the tunnel, part of the tunnel is submerged. A plausible explanation for the submerging of part of the tunnel is the collapse of the temple following several natural disasters that struck the region, especially the earthquakes between 320 and 1303 CE. During some previously conducted excavations at the site, archaeologists discovered a variety of artifacts such as figurines, statues of the goddess Isis, a cemetery full of Greco-Roman style mummies, and coins that bear the names and images of Cleopatra VII, among others. In earlier times, Cleopatra, who ruled Ptolemaic Egypt between 51 and 30 BCE, was said to have committed suicide with her lover Mark Antony, a Roman general. It was recorded that they were buried together, but no one knew the exact place where they were buried. With the recent discovery, archaeologists are getting close to knowing the location of the ancient queen's long-lost tomb. Pregnant ancient mummy. Here is another discovery that will send some fear down your spine. However, you don't need to fret over it. The discovery is a mummy with a fetus in the womb, the first of its kind. It raises questions about the woman's identity and why she was mummified with her fetus. She was subsequently named the Mysterious Lady of the National Museum in Warsaw. The mummy, or should we call it the mummy, and its sarcophagus were donated to the University of Warsaw in 1826 and has been safely kept in the National Museum in Warsaw, Poland since 1917. The story behind the mummy is intriguing. It was initially thought to be male because of the elaborate sarcophagus. But around 1920, there was a change in perception. The name on the coffin and its cartonnage bore a writing that differs from the earlier perception. According to the writing, the interred was named Hor Jehuti. Then, in 2016, it was discovered that the bones were too delicate and the mummy might not be Futureunity. There were no male reproductive organs, and a three-dimensional reconstruction of the mummy revealed breasts. Perhaps they placed an entirely different mummy in the sarcophagus, possibly to make it a more valuable artifact. If this is the case, they successfully passed it off as the first ever pregnant embalmed mummy. Tomb of 4,200-year-old Queen. Another landmark discovery to have emerged from Egypt is a vast tomb that sits in what was once Memphis, the capital of ancient Egypt. Although the site is home to several pyramids, the latest discovery has yielded one of the biggest rewards for Egyptologists. The tomb was discovered close to the Pyramid of King Teti when an excavation was initiated in 2010. At that time, no name revealed the identity of who the pyramid belonged to. However, in late 2020, researchers identified the owner of the pyramid. A name was inscribed on a wall in a funerary temple that was discovered simultaneously. The tomb is that of Queen Neat, the wife of King Teti, who died about 4,200 years ago. According to Dr. Zahi Hawass, a leading Egyptologist and former Minister of Antiquities, the discovery would help rewrite the history of ancient Egypt. This is because no history of ancient Egypt bears the Queen's name. Sarcophagus. Sometime around last year, a team of archaeologists excavating Saqqara, an ancient necropolis that lies south of Cairo, discovered a huge granite sarcophagus that is thousands of years old. The coffin belonged to Ptah Aya, Ramses II's chief treasurer. He also held other top positions, including royal secretary and chief overseer of cattle. Saqqara has been at the core of a revival in pharaonic culture in Egypt, and the discovery of Ptah Aya's sarcophagus would help to understand Egyptian rule after the death of King Tutankhamun. Ramses II, who succeeded King Tutankhamun, is believed to be one of the most important pharaohs that presided over Egypt during the New Kingdom period, a period during which Ptah Aya was a key member of the cabinet. The discovery followed the uncovering of his tomb the previous year, and that time finding a complete sarcophagus in its original tomb was scarce. This is because grave robbers were always raiding the tombs of dignitaries. However, the same thing was found with the discovered sarcophagus. The lid was broken, indicating the possibility of having it exposed to theft or opened in the past for burial. Notwithstanding, though, the sarcophagus makes a very spectacular discovery. Sun temples. This next discovery will blow your mind. Remember the era when sun temples were built in honor of Ra, the sun god in ancient Egypt, the 5th dynasty of 2465 to 2323 BC. Usually built in close proximity to pyramid complexes, sun temples had their own staff, agricultural land, and received donations on festival days. 6 of these sun temples are believed to have been built. And while some speculated that the temples might have just been one temple that was renamed over the years rather than separate distinct temples, the recent excavation at the Abu Ghraib site in northern Egypt dispels this speculation. In other words, the temple discovered below Nayusera's was a separate structure. Nayusera was the 6th king of the 5th dynasty, who reigned from 2400 to 2370 BCE. And as reported by ArtNet News, the temple bears seals and beer jars that could be traced to the 25th century BCE to further lend credence to the fact that the newly discovered temple was older than the temple of Nayusera. It was built out of mud bricks. The other similar temple that has been discovered honors Usakaf, the first king of the 5th dynasty. Library of Alexandria. The ancient Library of Alexandria is another great treasure of mankind that has been discovered. Before the library was burnt in a tragic fire incident, it is believed to have contained between 400,000 and 700,000 rolls of papyrus on science-related subjects. The fire was a travesty of civilization. Though the library was designed as a mausoleum for Alexander the Great, his remains were not buried there, unlike Widener Library at Harvard University, which has a central tomb area. Although many people actually believed that nothing was left of the library, a Polish-Egyptian team discovered what they believed to be the original site of the ancient Library of Alexandria in 2004. This is as they excavated parts of the Bruchion region of the Mediterranean city. During the process, they discovered what could be described as lecture halls or auditoria. Valley of Golden Mummies. Here is another shocking discovery. It is known as the Valley of the Golden Mummies. It is an ancient home of the dead. In 2001, an Egyptian team at Bahariya Oasis uncovered a festival of mummies, which is situated about 380 kilometers west of the pyramids. 4 tombs containing 105 mummies of high-ranking Roman Egyptians were excavated. Some of them bear religion-related scenes, while others bear gold masks. Though they have been lying there for over 2,000 years, they still look well kept. They can be said to have stood the test of time. The beautiful mummies bring to memory the mummy used in the movie Curse of the Mummy, a Hollywood movie. Dr. Zahi Hawass said the discovery will bring Egyptomania to the modern world. To him, the discovery was not those of objects used by people alone, but also about people who made them. In the case of this excavation, scientists got information about the life and death of Egyptians who lived in Bahariya during the Greco-Roman era. History has it that the people in this area got their wealth from the exportation of wine to the Nile Valley. Mummification Workshop. The discovery of the Valley of Golden Mummies is not the end of the journey of archaeologists in Egypt. They stumbled upon another discovery that dates back over 2,500 years at an ancient necropolis south of Cairo in 2016. The last time the site was excavated was in 1900. The Mummification Workshop, which belongs to the Site Persian period of 664 to 404 BC, serves as an embalmer's cachette holding a large pottery vessel collection. The workshop is a rectangular structure built from bricks and limestone blocks. Other artifacts found at the site include a trove of pottery, fragments of mummy cartonnage, marl clay, faience cups, canopic cylindrical jars, and a gilded silver mask, among others. All of these relics suggest the burial practices of ancient Egyptians, especially as they relate to preserving a body for the afterlife. A large shaft lies at the center of the workshop, leading down to a complex of burial chambers with several mummies, sarcophagi, and wooden coffins that differentiate the social class of the dead interred there. World's oldest industrial-scale brewery. The next discovery relates to how Egyptians honored their dead in the past. Before building pyramids for departed pharaohs, Egyptians often used huge quantities of beer in performing sacrificial rites during the burials of the kings of Egypt. Thus, they constructed an industrial-scale brewery as far back as around 3150 BC during the reign of King Narmer. 5,000 years later, the relics of the brewery have been discovered at a funerary site in North Abydos. Abydos held the tombs of kings of Egypt as far back as the pre-dynastic system period. The discovered facility used to produce about 5,900 gallons of beer at a time. When the site was initially investigated, some drying grains were found. According to T. Eric Peat, a British archaeologist, the grain was to protect against rot. However, after further exploration at different sites with similar artifacts, it was discovered that the grains were actually for beer making. The site where Peat discovered the grains was lost until its rediscovery in 2018 with the aid of magnetic survey technology. The facility is like none other, owing to its sheer production capacity. This discovery, of course, shows how wealthy the rulers of Egypt were. Thousands of pottery beer jars were found at the site, as they are commonly found in funerary temples. Mysterious giant finger. Next is a mysterious giant finger that was discovered in 1988. Maybe it's time we started believing in some of those folk tales about giants we were told when we were younger. Maybe the tales of Jack and the Beanstalk did actually happen sometime in the past. This recent discovery shows a giant human-like finger measuring about 15 inches long. This is, of course, bigger than any human finger ever discovered by scientists. But what makes this discovery even more mysterious is that the remains or bones of giant humans have yet to be excavated anywhere else in the world. Or maybe we just haven't dug deep enough yet. Well, archaeologists are still digging in for answers. But have we considered that this gigantic finger might just be that of a gorilla? Maybe a pharaoh hunted down and killed a gorilla and decided to store its finger in his trophy collection? We can only guess. Fresh human-like portraits. Another discovery that has left the world in awe is these fresh human-like portraits. These mummy portraits are painted on linen shrouds. Wondering where they were found, right? Well, these masterpieces were excavated in a necropolis located in Philadelphia, one of the ancient cities in Egypt. This discovery unearthed 2 finished mummy portraits and many other unfinished portraits of people from the cemetery. Researchers gathered that these portraits belonged to influential, middle-class or elite-class persons, since it was super expensive to procure portraits of this quality back then. Also, due to looting, it was quite rare for archaeologists to discover mummy portraits, the last of which were found around 1880. Mummy with gold tongue. Another intriguing discovery made by archaeologists recently is the mummy with the gold tongue. Ancient Egyptians believed so much in the afterlife that they put in place many incredible provisions to help them live the best life or a purpose on the other side. It is no surprise to find buried in Egyptian tombs treasures, cooking materials, and sometimes slaves to help their elites navigate the afterlife as the royalty that they are. And about the mummy with the golden tongue, it was gathered that during the Greco-Roman period, mummies were usually buried with their tongues coated with gold. These ancient Egyptians believed that the gold tongue gave humans a supernatural form in the afterlife. This supernatural ability, for example, empowers the deceased to talk to Osiris, the underworld god. Archaeologists found similar examples of this unique burial practice in a cemetery around Nizna in the north of Cairo. Other valuables and artifacts recovered from these graves include gold scarabs, necklaces, and pottery. New idea about mummification discovered. Furthermore, a new idea about mummification has just been discovered in the coffin of Isaius, the daughter of Demetrius. Ordinarily, ancient Egyptians are believed to mummify their dead with the sole purpose of preserving their bodies. However, this is not the case with Isaius' burial. This woman was mummified in a way to help her guide her toward divinity. She was literally being turned into a goddess. This new study is called the Complete 180 and will be exhibited at the Golden Mummies of Egypt. This exhibition will open in 2023 in the museum at the University of Manchester, England, and we can't wait to see what they have in there. Tattoos meant to protect women at childbirth. The next mysterious discovery made by archaeologists in Egypt is the tattoos meant to protect women during childbirth. This amazing tattoo was found on the left hip bone of an Egyptian woman, mummified and buried at Deir el-Medina along the Nile riverbanks. One would marvel at how such ancient tattoos didn't rot with the skin. However, the archaeologist that discovered it got lucky this time. The mummy was not unwrapped, and a portion of the skin, although dried up, was exposed. This tattoo shows ink drawings of Bes, a deity in ancient Egyptian culture charged with protecting women during childbirth by soothing their pain. More about Bes, the Egyptian god of fun. This next discovery further talks more about Bes, the Egyptian god of fun. A gold ring bearing an engraved image of Bes was recently unearthed by archaeologists while exploring a graveyard in Akhetaten at the modern-day Amarna, located in the southern part of Cairo. This discovery has also left scientists speechless and more curious as to why such an image of a god known to soothe women while in labor is engraved on a gold ring that ordinarily is meant for fashion. A probable answer was unveiled in further research. It was discovered that Bes symbolizes more than just a laboring woman comforter. It is also the god of fun. Bes stands for anything pleasurable, fun, and exciting in a good way. Bes takes the form of a dwarf who enjoys playing sonorous tunes at parties and making everything it touches lively and happy. It is not surprising that ancient images of this fun god can easily be spotted in many parts of Egypt. Mummified babies. This next discovery will shock you. Mummified babies were discovered in King Tutankhamun's tomb. The bodies of these 2 unnamed girls kept in special storage are a big mystery. There are lots of questions to be answered here. Did the children die before the king? Were they special in any way? Were they sacrificed for some sort of ritual? Unfortunately, we may never get the answers to these questions. Some sources say that these little girls were the pharaoh Tutankhamun's children and that they died a while before the king died, and that the king ordered that he be buried next to his daughters because he wants nothing but to reunite with them in the afterlife. What a sad story, but what is even sadder and more mysterious about this story is that these children had no names. They were simply tagged with the numbers 317A and 317B. What do these numbers mean? Got any idea? Make sure you let us know in the comments. Unique ancient birds immortalized on masterpiece painting. Next, these unique ancient birds immortalized in masterpiece paintings. The ancient Egyptians are known for their exceptional craftsmanship and world-class artistic prowess. But when we thought we had seen it all, this heavily detailed painting of rock pigeons that dates back to over 3,300 years ago was discovered. This painting displays detailed images of birds, some perched next to a marsh and some in flight. This artwork was found by archaeologists about 100 years ago on the walls of a palace in Amarna. Although this painting has been long found, it was only in recent research that the species of the birds were identified. Some species identified include the red-backed shrike, a pied kingfisher, and a white wagtail. It was also claimed that some of these birds had unnatural markings. Ancient naughty pupils' punishment. Next is the ancient pupils' punishment method that was recently unveiled. Parents and teachers have devised several means to set erring children straight. Some of the popular methods include caning and scolding. This latest Egyptian discovery shows how humanely the ancient Egyptians handled little rascals who didn't want to act right. This method of instilling discipline was introduced around 2,000 years ago, and it involves the erring youth being forced to write down lines on a piece of pottery. Archaeologists unveiled about 18,000 pieces of this ink-inscribed pottery, also known as ostraca, at a site in Athribis in early 2022. The Department of Archaeology at Germany's University of Tübingen made this discovery, after which they dug into surrounding stories to find answers to what it might depict. And upon research, they concluded that the scribbles on the pottery are lines that naughty pupils are made to write whenever they do something wrong. It was simply a mild form of punishment. And further evidence that this discovery was used in a school setting is other fragments showing school texts, receipts, lists of names, and trade information. From the look of things, the world can never get enough of the amazing discoveries in Egypt. More tombs are being raided, more treasures are unveiled, and more artifacts are found daily. Make sure you let us know in the comments which of the discoveries discussed in this video you find most fascinating and why. And do you think Egypt will pull off yet another groundbreaking invention with the ongoing man-made river in the desert project? Let's also hope that the Scorpion King gives his blessings. Blessings.